that, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
AMS track draft is now. This is a random draw this week for the AMS track draft schedule. We have chosen
Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Welcome back to the American Muscle Series. We spent last week hitting the drink cart. This week, we're going to be getting onto the back nine, the second half of season 9. Going to kick off tonight here at Interlagos. My name is Randall McGrew. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Andre Dirk Grandbouche, and we have Joshua Wilkie in the virtual production hauler on the buttons and knobs. Andre, Interlagos is a perennial favorite here in the American Muscle Series. Always provides a pretty exciting race. What do you expect to see tonight?
Well, I don't know. These guys might be a little rusty after that week off that we had. We'll have to see if they can shake off that rust. I know last time we came here, it was quite the event. We saw a lot of action and we had a lot of fun in the booth. So hopefully we can replicate that tonight. But either way, it just feels good to be back.
Absolutely. We joined the cars in qualifying. They are about 3.5 minutes into their qualifying session of 10 minutes. They have those 10 minutes to set 3 flying laps. Right now, the leaderboard looking a little sparse as drivers are still trying to set their initial lap times possibly, or possibly picking up some off tracks. There was a lot of complaining from the drivers in practice session about getting off tracks, but it looks like we're having our first times trickle across the line right now as Kevin Parrish is going to jump up to that pole position provisionally, and we're waiting to see Luis Enriquez is already only up to 5th. He was the fastest in practice, and we'll see if he's able to go even faster in qualifying. We're going to go aboard here with Jay Bass as he makes his way into one of the toughest turn ones on the entire service here at Interlagos, makes his way down the hill through the Senna S, and then the Curva del Sol, the long left-hander of turn 3, and he's going to bring the car over to the right-hand side of the track, coming up on one of the better passing opportunities on the track as they approach turn 4. This is going to be a very tricky spot for these drivers. Going to be very easy to run wide. He's going to brake just about at that access road, and you're going to kind of treat this as a double apex, but you got to keep that car on track here. It's very, very difficult. The track feels super narrow at that point, and then we're going to go up into what would kind of be the infield section. This track kind of doubles back in on itself, but we got a very quick right-hander that leads into an even faster open, completely wide open right-hander, and then the first of the tight corners, another right-hander that follows, and then the very, very tight left-hander here at the bottom of this little valley. We're going to rocket back up the hill. There's a bit of a sweeper to the right, and then another tight right-hander that they're going to have to try to get just right. The camber on this corner changes, the grip changes as you blend out, it kind of goes away. Then you need to ride the curb here as much as you can without getting any oversteer, and use all the track width here to get through, open up this corner as much as you can. This is the most important corner on the track to get right, and you can see a lot of opposite lock there out of Jay Bass. He tries to get through that corner as quickly as he can. This front straightaway, not exactly straight, but it's easily wide open the whole time, and this is the longest full throttle section of the track, so that corner absolutely important. And you're going to see a big slipstream here on this section of the track. He's going to cut it nice and tight. Normally they'll run a little bit wider in the race, but he's going to cut that line nice and tight to get a nice short distance to the start finish line. You see he's really struggling under braking, Andre.
And they're going to in that section, especially. It is downhill, so you got to be real careful with the brakes, careful with the wheel spin, careful with the lockup, everything. Got to watch what you're doing. So not an easy track. It's a wide track. Looks like they'd have a good time navigating it, but again, the wider the track, the more it just kind of tempts you to use every last inch you got, carry even more momentum. Faster you go, the more dangerous the game becomes. Neil Kemp continuing to hold on to the pole, the 148. He's at an 8 or a 6, I can't even tell. 870 to a 148.889. Those are some very close lap times, Randall. That is surprising to see at a track with lap times this long. Top 3 all within about a tenth. And you look back to 3rd, he's only about 2 tenths, or 4th is only about 2 tenths back to the 149. What a qualifying session this is going to be.
Absolutely. We're going to get you some points here real quick. The points display will now be displaying including the drop weeks. So we'll be dropping the 2 worst results for each driver. So this will give you a better idea of what the championship battles are actually looking like. We'll start with the Pro Division, who, now that we're including drops, Kevin Parrish, the comeback is on stronger than ever. He's in first place with 198 points, 8 points ahead of Luis Enriquez sitting on 190, and just 2 points behind him, Taylor Ballant, who's really come on here in the middle part of the season. Luke Sudengate right there, 2 points behind Taylor, trying to knock on that door, try to get back onto that podium. Then we're going to jump over to the Challenger Division, where we have a pretty big race brewing. And right now, Dejano Toot has a 10-point lead over Ryan Campbell, and Levi Powell, they're just 1 point behind Ryan in 3rd, and then just 2 points behind him, Matt Thompson, 2 points behind him, Mark Cohn. Any of these 5 drivers stand to have a huge gain at any point in this season. Any 5 of these drivers could be winning the championship. So a big fight going on in the championship standings for the Challenger Division. And then we're going to go over to the much smaller but still exciting Amateur Division, where Kevin Berg has a 2-point lead over Freddie Weaver. So a very, very closely fought battle there in the Amateur Division. John Casey's currently sitting on the third step of that podium with 145 points, trying to track those two down. But Kevin Berg, Freddie Weaver have got a big lead over third place right now.
Yeah, a bit of a gap there. So it is going to be definitely something to follow. I know when we started the season, Randall, it looked like there was going to be some standout drivers, some walk-away championships. At least that's kind of how I viewed it after the first couple of rounds. But as the week's gone on, it's only gotten tighter. It's gone in the opposite direction that I thought. And it seems like it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to come down to the final race in every single one of these divisions. So what a fun turn of events, and what a show these guys have put on for us, keeping the drama up, keeping us on our toes, not letting us predict a thing.
Absolutely. And if you're one of those drivers that's already had to use 2 of your drop weeks to stay into that championship fight, you might be driving a little bit nervous. So some of these drivers might be playing it a little bit more patience, with a little bit more patience here in the long run, in the back half of the season. Some drivers may have some of those drop weeks left that they have to sacrifice, kind of like a foul to give in basketball. They may get a little bit pushy on some of their competition, trying to force them either to back off or make a mistake that can have huge implications. We're going to watch here as Matt Thompson's going to make his way across the line one last time. Maybe he's going to try pit entry practice here. It is a very tricky pit lane. Pretty straightforward driving wise, as long as you don't ask Matt Malone. But you want to try to get on the brakes as late as possible in there. And he's actually going to go and try to set another lap time here. But right now, Taylor Blant is holding steady there with the pole position provisionally with a 1/10 of a second lead over Fabian Zweyer. And we saw it was earlier that it was completely different drivers. Each time that the drivers set new lap times, we would get a new pole sitter provisionally. And it looks like that's going to put a button on qualifying, just waiting for those absolutely official results to roll in, and we'll get you that starting grid. Taylor Blant is on the pole with a 1:48.432, 1/10 of a second behind him. Fabian Zweyer in second. Luke Sudengate going to roll off third. Kevin Parrish, your championship points leader, is going to start fourth. Luis Henriquez is in fifth place. Neil Kemp is going to start in sixth place. Jay Bast is going to roll off in seventh. And next to him, Evan Hoopchak in eighth. David Finch is going to start in ninth, and Brandon Brush rounds out your top 10.
Looking a little further back, P11 going to be Jeff Schnackle in that 23 machine. Charlie Hosey gets a good qualifying run, P12, first among the challengers. David Moore going to be P13, Andrew Bailing P14, Mark Cohn, the Watchman, going to be P15, Ryan Campbell 16th, Freddie Weaver 17th, first among the amateurs. Dahan Otu going to be P18 after his good performance 2 weeks ago. Andy Bell P19, and running out the top 20 going to be Daniel Gabaldon.
Matt Thompson, just Matt Thompson is starting in 21st. Aaron That Face Bray starting in 22nd. Mike Neekum, one of our sponsors, D-Nut Stuff Shop on Etsy. Go check him out. Starting P23. Brandon Smith starting in 24th. 25th position is going to see the likes of Joe Sacchetti, and next to him, Jeff Andrus. Ed Santinelli going to start in 27th. Jay Little in 28th. Kevin Berg, 29th. Mark Royce going to roll off 30th, and then the rest of the field, 31st, Dave Blair. 32nd is Matthew Gazinda. 33rd, John Casey. 34th, Stephen Price. 35th, Tom Wendt. 36th is Scott Brooks. 37th, Levi Powell. And 38 Mustangs going to attack the grid here tonight. Jeff Bernard is going to be starting shotgun on the field. The geriatric racer is going to be bringing up the rear seat. We've seen him make a lot of moves in the past few weeks, so keep an eye on him. But Andre, we got just about a minute before the green flag goes in the air. What is your strategy going into turn one?
Well, it depends on where I'm at. If I am towards the front of this field, I'm going to drive it in deep. I'm going to make sure nobody gets too close from behind. We had some issues in turn one last time we were here. If I'm in the middle of the field, man, I'm just trying to be as aware as I can, and I'm just going to go wherever anybody else isn't.
That sounds like a good strategy, but they're going to be fanning out 3 and 4 wide here as they approach turn one. It's always chaotic here at Interlagos. So keep your eyes peeled for smoke, for cars spinning sideways, maybe some collateral damage. We're still waiting for the front of the grid to show up here. Looks like actually we're just waiting on P2. So most of the grid has taken their spots. Now we're just waiting on Barney to get that flag up in the air. We're going to see 5 lights come on, 5 lights go out. We'll be underway, and Taylor Blant going to lead them off down into turn 1. We got about 5 seconds until lights out, and we hear them revving their engines, getting ready, trying to plan how they're going to attack this. But you got to expect the unexpected with these standing starts. Just waiting, and green flag is in the air, and away they go. Taylor Blant's going to lead them down to turn 1, but Fabian Zweyer looks like shot out of a cannon. Has got a great start, and they're already 4 wide back in the midfield. We see Freddie Weaver making an inside move, and it looks like Fabian Zweyer is going to lead the way into turn 1. Maybe a little bit of a bump and grind there with Taylor Blant. They're going to go 2 wide through most of the field, down through turn 1 and into turn 2. We see them 3 wide through turn 1, possibly even into turn 2. They're making their way through Curva del Sol right now, and the run down the Reto Apasta towards the Cito del Lago. They're still trying to sort themselves out here in the mid-pack. We see some drivers jockeying for position, and look back there, it is an absolute gaggle as they make their way down to turn 4. That's Evan Hoopcheck on the inside of Ryan Campbell trying to get that move done. It's going to force Campbell a little bit wide. It looks like he's going to get that spot, and they're still trying to sort themselves out, but up front, Fabian Zweyer leads the way.
Yeah, Fabian got a phenomenal start. Everybody did. It was a very clean start to this race as they're continuing to battle 2 wide, 3 wide all throughout the field, not quite sorting out these positions, not getting single file right away. Again, this track's wide enough they can battle. They can afford to do this. A little bit of the rear end sticking out there on the number 68 machine, getting a little bit loose, but has the preferred line going into the next corner, so he's able to get that gathered up right behind David Finch. It looks like they are going to be traffic jams, swerving out of the way a little bit further up front. We got a battle for the lead. Fabian got a good start, but he is not going to be able to drive away with it. Not yet. Not as long as Luis Henriquez and Taylor Blant have anything to say about it. Neil Kemp not far behind either. It's a little wide. That opened the door, but actually gained a little bit of momentum. They're now 2 wide for P2. Mistake out of Blant.
Yeah, it looks like Zweyer ran a little bit wide there, maybe a checkup from Blant, and then everybody else kind of checked up and made Luis Henriquez take an evasive maneuver, and he maybe had more momentum, but it was a much longer way around on the outside, but he's going to be there and going to be in P2 as they cross the line, but can he retain that position with Blant on the inside? We'll see, as right now Zweyer just covering up both. They're going to continue to be 2 wide through turn 2. And this is exactly what Fabian wants to see. He wants them to fight like heck back there and let him break away.
Yeah, he might break away. It didn't look like that a few minutes ago, but all this battling behind him is definitely opening up that road a little bit, letting him breathe for a second. As they're going to go into this corner 2 wide, the number 6 on the outside. Luis Henriquez taking the non-preferred lane, but Luke Sudengay not able to really make much of it. They pretty much went through that corner side by side, never gained, never lost anything on either end. And behind him, Kevin Parrish, one of the standout drivers these last few races. He's looking to pick up a few positions. He's getting a little anxious here, trying to stick the nose in, see what he can't do going into this right-hander. Going to eat up the curb, got a good run in. Can he carry that momentum out? Looks like he's going to at least stay side by side. Maybe a bit of a brush to the door panel there, but no harm, no foul as they work their way out of the corner. That gives Henriquez a little bit of breathing room for the first time in half a lap. And it looks like the move is going to be completed. Put Kevin Parrish up one more on the board, and luckily for Sudengay, able to get back in line before the damage got even worse, before he bled any more positions. But I'll tell you what, Parrish looking pretty quick early on.
Absolutely. He's on the attack, being really aggressive here. I'm wondering how much they're concerned about tires, as we see David Finch in the background going to be going around there, coming out of turn 12, and that's going to be a lot of positions for him. It looked like it was self-inflicted. We're going to get a replay of that possibly. We're going to see, yeah, maybe a little bit of help there from Evan Hoopcheck. Not 100% positive, but that is definitely a place where the rear end likes to step out a little bit, and I'm seeing there are some incidents being investigated. I'm not sure if this is one of them. And there is a little bit of a love tap right there. What's a little butt touch between friends? Well, maybe a black flag for Evan Hoopcheck here in a few minutes if the steward has if the steward takes exception to that. We're going to jump back to live pictures now. Fabian Zweyer continues to lead the way, and looks like Luis Henriquez is going to be fighting here with Neil Kemp to try to get one of those spots that he lost last lap back, and he's going to get the move done coming down the hill into turn 4. Gets the move done. Maybe had to sacrifice an off track there, and And that's going to be one of the things that they're going to have to keep an eye on this week, Andre, is the off tracks. They only have 17x before they get in any sort of drive-through penalty. And this is looking to be a 22-lap race. If they go off track 17 times, that's a penalty.
Yeah, they're going to have to go off track less than one time per lap, and that's assuming they don't get any contact. So, given the fact that we have seen some door banging, and these guys are really pushing the limits of the track extensions and down on the curb, flipping the grass. Obviously, every barrier is going to be a little bit different. Every corner has a different set of track limits, but just by the way they're driving, you can tell they're really playing it close, and big contact to the rear end of Fabian Zweier. Taylor Blunt said, "Remember me, buddy, I am back." And what a send into that corner it was. I just mentioned they got to be careful on the incident points. They don't want to get contact. Well, there it was.
Not sure if that was big enough to register for 4X or not. It certainly looked pretty heavy, but it didn't seem to unsettle Fabian too much. It looked like maybe he was trying to back them up a little bit into that last corner, and Taylor was just not having it. Where I'm hearing in my ear that maybe Stefan Price has had an incident and might be out of the race. We're going to stay here on live pictures with this battle for the lead, but here we go. John Casey had a bit of an incident. Trying to see what goes on here. This is on the one of the opening laps because they're still very close together, and it looks like it just turns into a parking lot in front of him as they make their way into turn 4, and he's just going to have to slam on the brakes, and it spins him around. And then Andy Bell going into turn 1. This will be lap 2. There behind Stefan Price. Freddie Weaver, not Stefan Price. And he's just going to lose it on his own. So a lot of these drivers, Andre, struggling early on with some cold tires.
Taking a look at Price here out of the corner. Gets a little bit sideways. Rear end kicks out. I think that might have been the extent of it. Hopefully for his sake, that was the extent of it. Front end's a little bit. Oh, that wasn't the extent of it. That was not even remotely the extent of it. He's going to get loose on his own. Like you said, struggling with the rear end grip here. And back to the lead. Look at this board check from Taylor Blunt. Things are getting spicy up front. You do not normally see them beating and banging for the lead like this only 7 minutes into the event, Randall. I mean, we see this all the time, but not when the timer is this close.
Yeah, we're going to see a replay of what happened here. It looks like Taylor Blunt going to go look for a move on the inside. Maybe it looks like Fabian ran a little bit wide and left that door open, and Taylor's decided, yes, sir, I think I will. And maybe this, I think you're right. Well, we normally don't see this level of aggression early on amongst the leaders. I think what's going on is this top 5, top 7 is so tight that they're all feeling the pressure, and they feel like if they don't make a move, they're going to get one stint on them. So now they're almost having to be aggressive in a defensive manner, as Luis Enriquez is going to move his way back up to second place. Kevin Parrish is going to follow him into third, and now Sudengate is also going to get around Taylor Blunt. So Taylor Blunt's situation has gone from bad to worse.
Yeah, that definitely backfired a little bit. He was battling for the lead, and now he is all the way back in P5. Full of smoke there, not entirely certain what the cause of that was. Take a look at a replay here on slow-mo broadcasting. And again, the rear end just stepping out on him. Randall, this is a reoccurring issue. I don't know if it's something with the setup or maybe just the track temp. They're not laying rubber down. I don't know what it is, but these downhill sweeping corners, it's not the tight corners, not the slow portions of the track. It's where they're carrying momentum. They're really struggling.
Absolutely, they are. The track temperature right now sitting at a cool 76 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 24 degrees Celsius. And you can see there's quite a defined racing line. So there's a lot of rubber in this track. I can speak from experience here. This car is one of the weird ones that does not like a track with a lot of usage on it. It really does prefer a green track. So I think maybe the excess rubber rubbed into this track might be causing some of these drivers to have a little bit of issues with the whole big touch there for who's that? Was that Charlie Hosey? Got a big touch from Dan. I'm not sure what was going on there. It looked like maybe Hosey was checking up for some reason, and Ott was not expecting, as we're going to see, is who's that behind David Finch? Mark Cohn going off there and mowing some grass. So he's going to lose a handful of spots. That's one of the worst places to go off. And we're seeing Evan Hubchak might have a penalty. Let me check the stewarding chat. We're going to get a replay here of Mark Cohn running wide, and he just almost in a different postal code by the time he gets that thing pointed in the right direction. Rejoins the track cleanly. That's going to be a lot of time lost for him. And I am seeing that Evan Hoopchak has a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility. Most likely that incident coming out of Jinsao there, where he laid the bumper to David Finch a little bit, as we see somebody, Levi Powell, overshot his pit stall, and he's going to have to back it up. Boy, these drivers are really struggling after 1 week break.
Yeah, we said they might be a little rusty. That is more than a little rusty. Getting into reverse gear, trying to fit in the pit stall. But in their defense, it is a bit of a weird pit road there. Nothing is too clearly defined. And back on track, Kevin Berg is going to be engaged in a bit of battle here, side by side with Daniel Gabaldon, and more side by side all throughout the field here. Behind him, I believe that is Neekum and Smith. So I tell you what, even further back in the field, these guys are battling. As far as the divisions go, Freddie Weaver leads the amateurs. He's P11, had a lot of good runs recently. Ryan Campbell, the Hano 2, about a second separated. They're battling for the challenger. And then these guys back here, well, they're just battling for pride and whatever points they can really scrounge up. Every point matters in this championship. The way it's gone, you don't want to miss out on anything. And you never know what's going to happen with 30 minutes left. So you can't get too complacent, as these guys have shown us. And here is David Moore, the Daredevil, making a move there, picking up one more position, P12 on the board for Evel Knievel, but not a comfortable position to be in, not when you got all those cars behind you. Now back up front, here we go again, Randall. Fabian Zweyer's been on defense all night long. Can he keep it up?
It looks like he's going to have a good run through turn 1, but Luis Enriquez with an incredible run on the outside, going to give him the inside line for turn 2, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to get a little touch there as it comes across the nose of Kevin Parrish, and he's able to keep it straight. Kevin Parrish wisely backs out of it. He's going to have to lose a few spots because of it, but he will live the fight another day. A big moment for both of those drivers. Both of them very lucky to come out of there with maybe cosmetic damage at the worst. Kevin Parrish losing a handful of spots, but he's going to be able to start making his way back up, as he's immediately going to go on the attack here on Taylor Blant. Going to try to maybe thread the needle here between Jay Bass and Taylor. No, he's going to follow Taylor on the inside now, just biding his time and waiting when he can get one of these spots. I think he's going to have Jay Bass dead to rights here, coming up to the right-hander at the top of the hill, and he's already alongside and going to easily get that position covered off, gets that spot away from Jay Bass. One of those spots are covered. Now he's going to have to work his way around Taylor Blant. We're going to take another look at that, as we see them coming through turn 2, and you just see a bit of a slide, a bit of oversteer there out of Henriquez, makes him chase the car a little bit across the nose of Kevin. Kevin has to back out of it. They both lived to fight another day, but a really scary moment there in turn 3.
Scary moment indeed. These guys, they've had a few scary moments as this race has progressed. That is for certain. They've not really given us a chance to calm down here in the booth. We are constantly dialing up the replays. What these guys are getting up to, it's hard to keep track of. And that is what this track is known for. It's how it was last time we came here. And there you see David Finch picking up a position as Neil Kemp went off the circuit. But yeah, it has been one exciting race. 12 minutes in, and I don't think this has calmed down a single bit from the drop of the green. Now back to a replay. This is going to be something with Dave Blair and that green. Now, I've always heard green race cars are not good luck. You do not want to have a green race car. That thing is green as the grass. Let's see what happens coming out of the corner. Could have been a false flag by the iRacing report system here, but overall, maybe that's the bad luck of the car, just getting flagged for things he didn't do.
I hate to interrupt here, but I'm seeing Neil Kemp is dropping down the leaderboard like a stone. Neil Kemp, he's now in pit lane, so I wonder if this may be just coming in for pit service. Sorry, it may just be coming in for pit service. He would be coming in very early, but we're going to see a replay here. He's alongside Dave Finch, so he's already down a fair number of spots from where he was earlier in the race. So he's runs wide there coming out of Jinsao, and then he's going to bring it into the pits. I don't really see any damage on the car. Maybe a little bit there on the left front. Hard to say, as he's going to come into the pit lane. But he was already down a fair number of spots from where he was fighting up towards the top 5 earlier in the race. And he's just going to come into the pit lane. So he may just be coming in for regular service. One of the first drivers to come in so far this race. We have 26 minutes left in the race, so it's a very early pit stop if that is the case. But he is back out on the track right now. He was stopped for only 13 seconds, so maybe not any damage on that car, so it could just be regular service. So false alarm for me. My apologies. Fabian Zweyer continues to lead the way over Luis Enriquez. Ryan Campbell duking it out with Dan Ott for the Challenger Division lead, and Freddie Weaver right there behind them in the Amateur Division lead. And most importantly, he's got a bunch of cars between him and Kevin Berg in P2 in the Amateur Division. All those cars count for the points, so as many cars as he can get between him and Kevin Berg, it's going to have huge championship implications as we watch him chasing down Dan Ott. Freddie Weaver really must like this place because he is absolutely kicking butt tonight.
I think he's been liking every track we've gone to recently. He's just been doing really good in that 229 machine. Trying to reel in Dahan 02. That would get him inside the top 10. Not a bad run thus far. You see the lap time differentials there between Weaver, Moore, and Ott. And Weaver, 3 out of the last 5, he has indeed been quicker. And some of these laps, it's not just a little quicker, Randall. I mean, look at lap 5, he was 7/10 quicker. Just 1 lap ago on lap 8, it was 3/10. That is not a minuscule amount to be reeling somebody in road racing by any means. A little bit of an off track there. As to the outside of Joe Sacchetti, Jay Little's going to go off the track and give up a position. And, you know, that corner especially, I've noticed a few drivers doing that, Randall. I'm telling you, the wider these tracks are, the more confident you get. You think you can drive it in a little bit deeper, but the front tires, they've only got so much grip, and these guys are finding out pretty quick where that edge of grip really is. Another battle here. Look at this. Tom Wendt making a bold move, but he's got to get on the brakes hard, big on the binders. Gives it right back up. I'm sorry, that was Andrus making the move. Tom Wendt playing defense, got a little turned around there. But, yeah, these guys all over the field, Randall. I mean, every single point, these guys are racing like they stole these cars. And the early pit sequence really intrigues me here. We saw a couple drivers, like you pointed out, getting into the pits with about 13 minutes on the clock. We've seen that occasionally. Drivers will get in early. But with this track, I would almost think that you'd want to kind of take the long run, you know, get the car up to temperature, keep the heat in those tires for as long as you can, and you know, see what you can do with it. But maybe it's going to work out for him.
It could work out. We'll keep an eye on Neil Kemp. He'll be the fastest of those drivers that's on the alternate pit strategy so far. So we're going to watch here from the side of Taylor Ballant's car as he tries to track down Luke Soudengay. Taylor Ballant was up there in front of Soudengay until about a lap ago. Soudengay was able to get that spot away from him. We're going to see him. They're duking it out up here up front, which is kind of an odd sight. We're not, as we've said a few times, we're not used to seeing that so much, but I think the pressure from behind is making these guys go for some moves. Right now, Luis Enriquez all over the rear of Fabian Zweyer's car, but he doesn't look like he's too interested in going for the lead quite yet. Fabian's been very defensive into turn 1 every lap, not really giving Luis a very good shot on the turn 1 passing zone, and he hasn't seemed to go for it on the entry to turn 4. We're going to go back to something going on with Daniel Gabaldon. He's on the outside. I'm trying to see who that is next to him, but just running a bit wide. They're going to go back and forth a few times. I'm hearing in my ear, and Gabaldon's going to come out the worst for that one. He's going to have a nice slipstream coming up the hill to see if he's able to close that gap in here. Maybe he's going to get some pressure from behind. No, it looks like just like a normal racing incident there. Daniel losing 1 spot. We're going to jump back to live pictures here with Taylor Ballant running in 4th place and Ryan Campbell dropping down the order very briefly. Now he's back there, so maybe just a glitch in the scoring. Yeah, it looks like maybe he just lost some sync with the scoring system there momentarily. Another false alarm is Luis is looking really racy. They're really checking up hard in turn 1, and contact there between Ballant and Soudengay. I don't think that's the first time these two have come together this season either, so maybe Soudengay's going to try to get it going back in the right direction and avoid the tire barriers there. So not a lot of damage on either car. Maybe a little bit of steering damage. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But it looked like a relatively minor incident that has had huge implications. So we're going to go on board from Soudengay. He had that wheel cranked all the way, and then a little tap from behind was all it took. It also spun out Taylor. So both of them coming off the worst for this one. No winner in this fight. They're both going to have to get going back in the right direction, rejoin, and try to make up some lost ground. As we're going to see, yeah, Taylor was just all over that curb, and it just shot him right off there into the rear fender of Luke Soudengay. So I don't think the steward's going to be very happy with that right there either. We're going to get another view of it. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of footage on this one.
There will be. And remember, the reason that Taylor Ballant was even back there was because he also got a little rough with Fabian Zweier and got the short end of it. I mean, he definitely ate his Wheaties this morning. Something got into Taylor Ballant because he does not usually race that way, but he's been real aggressive today, and it's bit him more than once. So not sure what's going on there, but a little further back, Jay Little, he just recently had an off-track excursion, trying to make some time back up, currently stuck behind Joe Cicchetti, who was the driver that overtook him when he went off the track, so just trying to get that position back if you can. Beautiful Wood Brothers Mustang paint scheme, by the way, in that number 297, but either way, it has been an eventful night, and you said not much damage to either of those lead cars that wrecked. I would say the damage is more psychological than anything because that race is done, but we have a replay, something with John Casey. Let's see if anything happened to this black and blue Mustang. Some traffic behind, and how many times have we seen that? I think he was going around either way. He got a little help there at the end of it, but I don't think he was bringing that around.
Yeah, that was Matthew Gazinda who he spun right in front of. Matthew didn't really have anywhere to go. So we're going to see who is this, Daniel Gabaldon and Brandon Smith going to be Kevin Berg and Daniel Gabaldon going to be duking it out. Kevin Berg trying to close that gap up to Freddie Weaver to try to get some of them points back away from Freddie. We're seeing some more drivers on pit lane now. We got Aaron Bray, Mike Neekum, Jay Little all coming in for service. And Andre, let's just take a moment to admire these beautiful camera shots we're getting thanks to Whiplash sim racing cameras. This might be the best camera pack we've seen this season. These angles have been phenomenal. So big shout out to Whiplash Sim Cams. Thank you so much for providing cameras for slow motion broadcasting, and they are an absolute beauty tonight.
They are, and I know from experience, or at least from watching other people experience it, cameras on road racing can be an absolute pain. There's so many things you got to keep in mind, hills and undulations, buildings and trees that potentially block the view, and so far we've seen everything tonight. So Whiplash definitely did a phenomenal job getting these cameras dialed in for us here at Interlagos, and it is bringing all the action to us in HD, and we love to see it. And also big shout out to Joshua in the booth here with us for making sure we get the right camera angles and cutting to everything. I don't know how he does it week in, week out, Randall, trying to keep up with everything these guys are doing. There's no way I could do it. But for the lead, again, Fabian Zweier on defense. How long can he take this?
I don't know, but so far he's been up to the measure for a good 22 minutes. We're just past the halfway mark. Luis Enriquez still keeping the pressure on him. They've broken away from the rest of the top five by a couple seconds, so they've been able to work together here. It looks like Luis hasn't been pushing him too hard. He's just been keeping the pressure on, but it's been enough for them to break away a little bit. And here's another thing I'm seeing. Taylor Ballant's getting a drive-through penalty for that incident there in turn one, so the steward has deemed him responsible for what happened between him and Luke Sudengay. So we'll see a drive-through penalty there for Taylor Ballant. His night basically going to be a wash. He's going to be going for garbage points after he serves that penalty. So we'll see if he's able to recover any of those spots, as Gabaldon is going to go for a move here on Kevin Berg and not going to be able to get it done. So Kevin Berg was going defensive there on Gabaldon. I keep getting these two mixed up, but I'll get it figured out eventually. Berg, so far, staunch on the defense, but Gabaldon is going to look to the inside as they make their way up to this right-hander, and this is a tricky spot to try to get a pass done, and he's not able to get it done, but he is absolutely dialing up the wick here on Kevin Berg.
Yes, he is. Almost getting the toe hitch there. I think if he could have bumped him, he would. Just didn't quite get close enough, but Berg got a really good exit. He went from being in the danger zone to being about 3 car lengths clear, so great exit for that 246, but coming from behind again, Daniel Gabaldon going to send it into the corner, close that gap up a little bit, and he's got Brandon Smith behind him, so this 3-car train trying to sort out these positions if they can. 3 of these drivers, by the way, or 2 of them at least, in different divisions. Kevin Berg in the amateur trying to hold off the challengers, and then up the road from them, you got Taylor Ballant, David Finch, other pros. It is just all over the place. A little bit further back, here is Kevin Parrish in third. It's about 3 seconds off of Henriquez and Fabian Zweier. He was showing pace early on, but he has had to make some passes, and I think working his way through traffic has cost him some time. It's allowed these two kind of drive off into the sunset. But now that he's taken third place for himself ahead of Jay Bass, maybe he can reel him in. And also, something to keep in mind here, Randall, 3 seconds is not a gap that can't be overcome via pit strategy. We routinely see things swing by more than 3 seconds.
You're absolutely right. This is one of those pit lanes you can really attack. I've seen another black flag for Jeff Bernard, possibly a unsafe pit entry or a speeding on pit lane penalty for Bernard. We'll see if how long he's in the pit stall. If he looks like he's rolling now, maybe he's coming to stop. No, he has completed his pit stop, but I am seeing a black flag for him, so he may have gotten the speeding penalty after his stop. We'll see if that goes away. It's still showing it right now. But yeah, we're waiting for those leaders to come in. Fabian Zweyer continues to lead the way. You'll remember, though, that Kevin Parrish and Luis Enriquez had a little bit of a kerfuffle there in turn 3 that caused Kevin Parrish to have to really back out of it. And now he's way behind those leaders, as we're going to see Kevin Berg really letting the rear end step out there in front of Brandon Smith. And he's able to keep it going in the right direction, but those rear tires are not going to be pleased on that Mustang as he continues to try to hold off and keep as many of these spots as he can. He has already lost one to Daniel Gabaldon, who's now driven away by like 1.3 to 1.5 seconds on him. So a bit of a cork in the bottle here is Kevin Berg. Maybe he'd be looking to pit here soon, try to cool those tires off a little bit and try to recover after he gets some fuel in the car, waiting to see the leader. So far, out of everybody that's pit, the leader of that group would be Dave Finch, all the way back in 21st spot. He's the first car that has pit. As we see Super Dave Moore coming into pit lane, so we're starting to see some of the front runners come in. Matt Thompson's there with him as well. We're see anybody else comes in this lap. It doesn't look like it. Everybody else is pretty much going by right now. I'm not seeing anybody else dip into the pit lane as Dave Moore's going to get rolling again. Matt Thompson going to get rolling at about the same time. Dave Moore with a 12.2 stop time. And Matt Thompson with a 13.4. 12.2 is one of the faster ones, but the fastest so far appears to be Matthew Gazinda with 11.15. So we're seeing a range from about 11 to about 13 seconds being the typical stop time for these cars this week. We'll see how that plays out for the rest of the drivers. So wait for those leaders to come in. So far, the top 17 have not pit. Dave Moore's going to be dealing with back markers. Oh, a little bit of contact there from Dave. That was not Dave Blair. That was Jeff Andrews. He's going to make his way now around Dave Blair. It doesn't look like he picked up any damage from that. Just a little bit of a wake up call, possibly for Jeff Andrews. Didn't know that the faster car was on his way through. So a little bit of contact there. No harm, no foul. Dave probably hopefully wore his brown driving suit today. He's going to have a bit of a moment. There's Tom. We're going to get a view of Tom Wendt here. That beautiful paint job. Tom Wendt does all the paint jobs for Frito Sport, it seems like. He's always busy posting new paint pictures, and he's been doing them for Josh Wilkie. He's been doing for a lot of people. So if you need a good paint, talk to Mr. Tom Wendt. Maybe he can settle down his 38 children long enough to get a paint out for you. I don't know how he does it. With his golf schedule and having so many children. And now we're going to jump over to Ryan Campbell, who's on pit lane, another one of those beautiful Frito Sport jobs. You're going to see him on pit lane. Also, Mark Cohn is on pit lane. We saw him running a little bit wide out of the last corner a few times, but he's made his way up towards the top 10 still. So still in a good fight for the Challenger Division win. A couple other drivers, Brandon Smith, Daniel Gabaldon, both on pit lane as well. Waiting for these drivers to roll off. We'll see if Mark Cohn's able to get this spot away from Ryan Campbell or not. Yes, he is. He's going to roll off first. Campbell's still sitting still, so I'm not sure what's going on with Campbell. I don't know if he had a penalty or not, but he has been stopped for an awful long time. And I'm going to have to think that Campbell ended up with a penalty. That's the only reason he could be sitting here for this long, is Gabaldon is going to make his way out now. Still waiting for the leaders to come in. We are just about 30 minutes into this race, 28 and a half minutes into this race, waiting to see the leaders come in and see how long exactly they're going to be able to stretch this out. I think we lost. We may have lost Andre here temporarily, so it's just going to be me talking to you for a few minutes. I hope that's all right with you.
We're good.
Oh, there he's back. He's telling me that Parrish is cashing the leaders fast too, so he's been paying attention the whole time, and he's absolutely right. Parrish has closed that gap up to 1 second, so Parrish has found some pace here with a light fuel load. We're watching Ryan Campbell and Scott Brooks duke it out, but this battle for the lead is about to get spicy.
It is, and he is within drafting range of the leaders, but that doesn't matter because they're all going to come down pit road. Not going to do much slipstreaming on pit road, but you can still gain time one way or the other. So these leaders all going to get those cars fueled up. I can't imagine they could have gone much further. 17 laps, coming to 18, 29 minutes on the clock. These guys really stretch it. Jay Bass going to get, no, that was not Jay Bass. I believe that was Brandon Brush. The Schnack gets out of his stall a little bit there. And look at this. Henriquez going to take the lead on the pit. Once Jay Bass jumping Kevin Parrish on the exit as well. So we got a huge change in the running order. What a turn of events here for the first time all night with 10 minutes to go. Fabian Zweier's got to be on the offense rather than defense. And Jay Bass is looking at a potential podium finish here if he can hold on to that. What a great stop for him.
Absolutely. So I think some of these drivers might be rolling the dice a little bit here with fuel strategy. Jay Bass stopped for only 10.73 seconds. So that could be the move of the race. It could also be earmarking him for the Thompson Trophy for fuel management. We haven't given that thing out in a while. It's overdue. It's got some dust on it. Hopefully nobody has to spit shine that tonight. Luis Enriquez was the first to get rolling. He was the second on the pit lane. He absolutely attacked his pit box too. I don't know if you were able to see it, but he absolutely went in and just absolutely nailed his pit stall. Everybody else had to kind of slow roll in. He just came to a dead stop right on the marks, and it was a thing of beauty. Watch him cut in at just the last second and just perfectly nails this. He doesn't have to roll it or anything. Perfectly in the stall. That's probably what actually gained him the spot. Then he was able to get the fuel in the car and get rolling again. He was stopped for 11.35 seconds. Fabian Zweyer was stopped for 2 seconds longer, so that did help as well. But absolutely nails that pit stop. So good stuff out of Luis Enriquez. He's got a nice little lead right now, but can he keep it?
Well, you know, I would like to say that he could, but it's going to be tough. Fabian Zweier's had a lot of pace. Jay Bass keeping up with him as well. It's going to be close up front, I think. Mike Neekum having a bit of a moment there in that 157. A little bit of an off track from him as he tries to keep it side by side with Levi Powell, I believe it is, right behind him. And they're able to sort it out, get single file again into this downhill sweeping corner that's been the trouble turn for so many drivers. They're able to navigate it no problem. Then you see the brake lights come on into this tighter left-hander. They're going to use up every inch of the curb and the turf. They're able to conserve that momentum. That is the fast line. Bit of a blinding sun in that corner at this point. Luckily not too much actual retina damage to be had in sim, but that would be very frustrating in real life. As now Levi Powell gets a good run onto the straightaway, and he's going to dip beneath that white line, use every inch of the track, and just barely come up in front of that pit wall, take the position.
Absolutely, he gets it done. He gets a little bit of that slipstream and a better run, but he's going to overcook it there into turn one a little bit. It's going to put him off onto the off foot coming through turn two, but he's able to keep it wrangled nice and tight there through turn three as Neekum's going to fall back just a little bit. Neekum running that STP paint, a bit of a tribute to the king, I think, possibly. Let's go back to that battle for the lead, though. That gap that was about a second and a half when they came out of the pit lane from Luis Enriquez has evaporated to about halfway. So Fabian Zweyer still got some pace in that car. Is going to try to reel him in. Kevin Parrish has made his way around Jay Bass, is back on the podium and is within striking distance of these two leaders. So this is far from over. We have 7 minutes left in this race, plenty of time to race and try to figure this out. We're going to jump back and see what happened with Jay Bass and Kevin Parrish. Looks like Jay Bass just got a little bit wide there, and Kevin Parrish there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, just got on the binders a little too hard. You saw the tire smoke, kind of wheel hopped it going into the corner, and Parrish gets back on the podium. My question here, Randall, with how quick Henriquez's pit stop was, did he maybe under fuel a little bit? He's playing it conservative, and that is why that second place is catching him as quickly as he is. Not to say that Fabian Zweyer is not fast. He's led most of this race. He's very fast. I just got to wonder, anytime I see somebody that's in and out that quick, and oh my goodness.
No, Taylor.
Taylor Ballon in the no good, very bad, awful race. Oh my goodness.
It looks like he was going to change tires there and try to call it off at the last second, and maybe got a mixed set of tires here with one possibly being colder than the rest of them, and it just caught him off guard as he came out of the pit exit, and he's going to have quite a job to get that going back in the right direction. A bit of bit of an Austin Powers moment there on the pit exit as we're going to see Matthew Gazzina going to be applying the pressure here to Mike Neekum and Dave Blair on the outside. They're going to go 3 wide. There's a little bit of bump and grind, a second little bit of a touch, and Mike Neekum's going to go off into the grass. And is he going to be able to save it? No, he's not. He's going to be off the track there. He manages to keep it out of the barrier, gets it going back in the right direction. Doesn't lose a whole lot of time, but does lose a couple spots in the process. So these guys duking it out back here in the midfield. That was the battle for 21st. So if you think these guys aren't serious about where they finish, think again. As now Dave Blair's going to be applying the pressure to Gazzina, who's going to run a little bit wide. And they got Andrus there knocking on the back door. And it looks like Dave Blair might pick up a spot here. Dave Blair, the perennial winner of the Clean Driver Trophy in whatever division he runs in. You know, he'll be playing this pretty safely, giving plenty of room to Gazzina there on the inside. I would too, after seeing what just happened there up in turn 1. I would not want to pinch him very much at all, as maybe he's going to give him the inside line here on Gazzina, and he's going to have lots of room. He's going to have a nice tight line through there. He's going to get that spot away from Gazzina. Jeff Andrus also going to pick up a spot off Gazzina. So Gazzina ran a little bit wide through that, and now it's going to be back side by side with Mike Neekum once again. It looks like he's backing out. No, maybe it looks like he's just surrendering some spots now. Maybe he picked up a slowdown somewhere in there. I'm not sure. We'll take a look here at Freddie Weaver up in the battle for 12th place. Him and Mark Cohn duking it out going into turn 1. They got Matt Thompson not too far ahead of them. Freddie Weaver is still your amateur division leader. Dan Ott is the challenger division leader back up in P8. Freddie Weaver trying to fight his way into the top 10 here. He's got Mark Cohn all over his rear bumper. Matt Thompson not too far ahead of him. We'll take a look here at Dan Ott on a bit of an island in the challenger division. He does have Super Dave Moore behind him. That is for position, but they are in different divisions. He's got a couple cars breathing space back to challenger P2 in the form of Matt Thompson. As Super Dave Moore is going to go on the inside and get that move done. Just under 4 minutes left in this race, and still lots of battles being decided out on track. Luis Henriquez continues to lead the way. Fabian Zweyer is right there within striking distance, not too far back from them. It's just a second and a half back. Kevin Parrish needs to get the let out, try to close this gap up and challenge these two drivers and maybe apply a little bit of pressure. Jay Bast able to hold on there to the rear of Kevin Parrish, so he's still in this conversation. And then we got a bit of a gap back to P5 Brandon Brush. So 4 cars here, all with a decent chance to win this race.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Jay Bast. I mean, he has had a really solid night, and he's keeping pace with Kevin Parrish, who's been one of the fastest cars as far as working his way through the field. So you can't complain there. I mean, look at those lap times, hundredths of a second different in certain sectors there between Bast and Parrish. So really, really close, and they are reeling in these leaders a little bit. Fabian Zweyer has caught the leader, but these two have kind of followed in his wake, and I think by the time we get to the final minute and the final lap, it is going to be a 4-car battle. Again, I got to wonder, how confident is Henriquez in that fuel cell? How much did he take in that pit stop? Because these guys have caught him in a hurry. Now he's got to play a little bit of defense. He has turned up the wick a little bit. Ever since Fabian Zweyer got to him, he's picked up his times just a little bit, probably because he knew that he had to. Fabian Zweyer is not going to cut him any breaks, not with only 2 minutes remaining on the clock. He can get back to the lead. He is going to. But Kevin Parrish, look at this guy. He is just, I mean, look at this, out braking into the corner. And the incredible thing is, he's not really going to lose that time on corner exit. He's going to maintain that momentum. He's driving it in deep, keeping good lines. He is right there. Time is not on his side. It's running out. But I tell you, he is not giving up.
Absolutely, he is not going to give up. We are at the end of lap 21. This will be a 22-lap race. They will be seeing the white flag as they make their way across the start-finish line. So they'll have one more shot at most of these corners. They have 2 shots at this one, the most important one. They're going to be racing to the white flag now. Luis Henriquez in front. Kevin Parrish has closed that gap up. Jay Bass still in this conversation, and it's going to be a 4-way fight for the win. And are we going to see Henriquez go defensive? I will do want to mention Jay Bass did pick up the fastest lap within the last couple of laps. Took that away from Evan Hoopchak, who's down towards the bottom of the running order now. He's parked the car, and white flag in the air from Barney. 3 cars nearly under a blanket. 4th car there still hanging out, ready to pick up scraps and maybe come with a surprise win, as Luis Henriquez is going to drive it so deep into turn 1, and he's going to be sliding, coming through turn 1, clip a lot of that curb on turn 2, and he's going to be under heavy pressure now from Fabian Zweyer. He's going to go defensive, going to go all the way to the left as they run down the Redo Pasta all the way to turn 4. He's going to be there on the inside. He's going to squeeze up a little bit on Fabian, trying to open up that entry as much as he can. He's going to retain that position through turn 4, and that's going to push Fabian off just a little bit. He's going to be under pressure from Kevin Parrish, who's not going to be alongside, and they're going to be going 3 wide as they make their way up the hill. 3 wide on the white flag lap here for the win, and it's going to be Luis Enriquez, but Kevin Parrish coming on the outside. Let's go, Kevin. Look at that run. Kevin Parrish on the outside. Is he going to be able to make it stick? He is going to have the preferred line here at the very tight hairpin at the bottom of the hill, and that might be enough for Kevin Parrish to cover off the lead, and he is. He's going to slide right across the bumper of Luis Enriquez. Luis has one more shot to get this back. He's going to run on the outside here, the left, or the right-hander, and he's not going to be able to get it, and he's going to run a little bit wide. That's going to put him under pressure, and look who's here now. Jay Bass has entered the chat, and he is ready to get one of these spots at least from these drivers. And it's going to be a drag race with a slipstream up the hill. Who's going to get this last corner right? They all get a pretty good run. Luis is big loose there coming off that corner, and it's going to kill his momentum and possibly going to give a big run here to Fabian Zweyer, but Kevin Parrish is stepping away from them right now. But here's where the slipstream is going to come to effect. Who is going to have enough momentum to get to the line? And it looks like Kevin Parrish is going to easily cover this off. Is Fabian going to get second? No, he might be just a little bit short. And it's going to be Luis Enriquez in second, Fabian Zweyer in third, Jay Bass in fourth. What a race.
Have you ever?
Man, what a move from Kevin Parrish. We still have drivers coming across the line. We still have a couple more battles. David Finch and Dave Moore going to be duking it out. Dave Moore is going to get that spot away from Dave Finch. And wow, just wow.
He only led 1 lap. It was the lap that mattered. And for the amateur win, Freddie Weaver, P13, a great night all night long, and he's going to cap it off with a division win. Dejano, too, getting his division win as well, 4 seconds up on the closest competition for it in P11 behind him. But everybody coming to the line, finishing out their eventful races. Probably glad to see that checkered flag after everything that has been going on. It has not been one easy lap for these guys as they finish out the night. And that was an all-time finish right there. To make a double overtake on the outside, leading one single lap all day, and it's the one that matters. What a win for Parrish. I mean, I can't tell you how much I love this track and just how awesome this has been to see.
That gap between Fabian Zweyer and Luis Enriquez, they had pulled away earlier in the race. That gap back to Kevin Parrish was 2.5 seconds before the pit stop. And Kevin Parrish ends up winning this race. If Kevin Parrish wins the championship this season, that is going to be the highlight reel. That is the championship drive. As Matthew Gazinda is limping his way to the line, we finally have a winner for the Thompson Trophy for fuel management. He's going to barely make it across the line. He across the line in 32nd place. Matthew Gazinda, he does win the Thompson Trophy for fuel management. Adam, you got to take it off your shelf. It's been gathering dust up there for a few weeks. We finally got somebody to give it to. So Matthew Gazinda going to win that dubious award, and we're just waiting for the final results to come in so we can get you that final classification. But we know who won that race. That was Kevin Parrish all night long. You only need to lead 1 lap, Andre. You only need to lead 1 lap, and he picked the right one to lead.
Yeah, he did. Taking a look at the replay, look at this. On the outside, in one corner, he clears second place, stays on the outside. He's got the momentum into this next right-hander, takes a nice wide arc, and I'll tell you, Henriquez played it nice. Henriquez could have ran him wide, but he really stuck that car to the apex, sacrificed a little bit of momentum to do it, and that was enough. Double overtake on the outside, and Henriquez made a great attempt to take it back right here, driving it deep on the outside, but this corner just doesn't quite have the geometry for a wide overtake like that. It didn't quite work out, and that was just the most incredible finish. I mean, high pressure. Last lap, you've been fighting and fighting and fighting all night long through traffic. Didn't qualify the best. You got one shot to make it happen, and he did it. I mean, did not crack under pressure. What a showing. And then right here, you see Henriquez might have had a run at it, but he got a little bit loose in this final corner and killed his momentum, and that allowed Fabian Zweyer to try to get second place. Didn't quite get there, but That uphill run to the line opens up so much opportunity for drafting. You can see looking back, there is Wire and Bast. As for that fuel management, it is impressive to coast to the line when the line is at the top of a hill. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, you have to really do that math really very, very tightly in order to make an uphill run at a coast. And now I'm hearing we got the results. Kevin Parrish, your winner by 0.2 of a second over Luis Enriquez. Fabian Zweyer in a very close third position. Jay Bass hanging in there with the fast boys, going to finish in P4. Jeff Schnackle comes in P5. We didn't really hear too much from him this race. Quietly with a really good run there, P5. Brandon Brush finishes in 6th. Luke Sudengay, who we saw have a bit of an unfortunate incident there in turn 1, has a nice recovery, comes home in P7. Dave Moore going to finish in P8. Dave Finch, we saw get helped around there in the early stages of the race, going to finish in P9. Dahan O'Toole is going to win in the Challenger division, finishing in P10 overall, rounding out our top 10.
Matt Thompson takes P11, about 4 seconds back from Dan. Mark Cohn, the Watchman, going to be P12. Freddie Weaver takes his division win with another great run, P13 on the night. Neil Kemp had an eventful day, a few off tracks here and there, but brings it home top 15. Andrew Bailing behind him. Inigo Bolden, P16. Aaron That Face Bray, didn't talk about him much tonight, but top half of the field, P17. Brandon Smith is going to be P18. Running out 19 and 20 is going to be Kevin Berg and Ed Sancinelli.
P21, Levi Powell. P22, Dave Blair, who we saw doing some moves there towards the end of the race. Jeff Andrus going to finish in 23rd. Ryan Campbell, 24th. Mike Neekum in 25th. Joe Sacchetti, 26th. Andy Bell, the Iceman, finishing 27th. 28th is going to be Tom Went, the man of the paints. 29th place is Scott Brooks. Jay Little in 30th. John Casey, 31st. Matthew Gazinda, who we saw lip across the line, the last car to finish on the lead lap. Taylor Blant is going to be in 33rd, 1 lap down. Jeff Bernard in 34th, also 1 lap down. Stephen Price in 35th, 3 laps down. Evan Hubchak going to come home in 36th, 10 laps down. Charlie Hosey and Mark Royce, both involved in incidents pretty early on, are both going to be coming home 16 laps down in 37th and a 38th position. And I've never been so excited for an interview, Andre. I've got Kevin Parrish, our overall winner. Kevin, you only got to lead 1 lap. You picked the right lap to lead. Tell us about that outside move. It was amazing.
Yeah. What do they say? By an inch or by a mile, huh? Right. So that was, I surprised myself there. I saw that 3 wide coming and I was like, this is stupid. This is the worst place to be. And luck was on my side. So I'll take it.
That gap, you were behind the lead pack by about 2.5 seconds there after that incident with Luis in turn 3, where you had to back out of it and make your way back through some traffic. Did you think that it was insurmountable, or were you just head down trying to close that gap up?
Yeah, I knew there was a shot at that point. I actually kind of gave up when Taylor and I think it was Luke who got tangled up in front of me in turn 1. That was an even bigger one, but yeah, after the pit stop, I got a good entry into the pit, and it brought new life into the race.
So, I mean, talk about waiting for the last minute. Absolutely, like the last lap, halfway through the lap, not really a spot you would expect to go for an outside move like that. There's nobody else I'd rather do that against than Luis Enriquez. Let's say that. But way to salt, dude. That might be the championship move for you this season.
No, I agree. I always love racing next to Luis and Fabian. The whole crew is always fantastic. Definitely not a move I would have committed to without those guys. So props to everyone.
Well, I'm not want to say a surprising win because you've been showing pace all season, but a very exciting win. Before we let you go celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
I'm going to shout out my son, Logan, today. Daddy loves you, man.
Heck yeah. Well, congratulations once again. I have a feeling that I'm going to be going to some reserve questions here in the coming weeks. I don't think this is the last time we're talking.
That's the goal. Make you run out of questions by the end of the season.
All right. Congratulations. That was your overall and Pro Division winner, Kevin Parrish. And Andre, did you manage to track down our Challenger Division winner?
I certainly did. Mr. Ott, you got a copy?
I got you.
All right, Dan, I need you to level with me. Every time I talk to you, I say, man, how'd you do it? You're like, I don't know, man. It just kind of, I don't know. It just happened. But every single week, you're back up in this booth. You keep doing these good runs. I'm starting to think it's not luck anymore, Dan.
Well, it certainly was that one. I don't know what happened to Ryan. He had the win locked up. I could stay right behind him, but I had nothing for him. And then I come out of the pits and he's nowhere. So I don't know what happened with him.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the running order get shuffled up in the pit sequence there. And either way, you had to be close enough to capitalize on that misfortune. And you were in and around the top all night long. And it seemed like the driving conditions out there were pretty tough for you guys. We saw a lot of self spins, a lot of guys getting sideways. How did it feel behind the wheel of your Mustang?
I felt pretty locked down. I mean, there was a couple of sketchy moments on shifting down to second gear. My car didn't like it, but I think that was just me shifting too soon. But other than that, I'm still running a good old Aeronom setup from years ago, and it seems to be pretty good for me.
Well, any setup from Mr. Aeronom is probably destined to be pretty dang good. He was dominant when he was in the league and definitely getting some good results out of that associated Mustang. Congratulations on the division win. I got to ask you, now that the points picture is looking even better in your favor here, what's the mindset going forward? Just going to kind of keep your head down and try to get what you can, or get more aggressive?
Yeah, I keep it in one piece for the most part, and if I can go for a win, I'll go for it. But other than that, go for, hopefully podiums every race at least.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Again, congratulations on the win, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon. Any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Thank you guys for broadcasting. Again, I love going back and watching the race. You guys do a great job.
All righty. Thank you for the kind words, and we'll be seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Oh, shucks, that was Dan Ott, the Challenger Division winner, and I'm Dan. Flattery will get you everywhere. And I've, in the interim, managed to track down the Amateur Division winner, Mr. Excitement, Freddie Weaver. Yabba dabba doo, another win for you. Tell us what it was like out there for you tonight.
A very hot and sweaty race. I mean, that was something. The car started out handling real good, and by the end of the race, the tires were just screaming.
Well, talk about the beginning of the race, man. You were really punching above your weight class there. You were challenging for the top 10 most of this race. What was it like being up there with the fast guys?
It was nice. I mean, I expected the guys that were coming behind me. There was a pretty good gaggle forming up there, and I just figured they'd run me down and run me over. But I was hanging with them, which was kind of nice. I mean, getting faster every week, and pretty soon probably going to move right up to Challenger, maybe even Pro.
We'll see. I mean, you've definitely shown the improvement. I think Challenger Division is definitely calling your name, Freddie.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I would do very good this year with the Russian roulette on the wheel, but I don't know. I'm adapting pretty fast on the tracks I don't know, and luckily I've gotten quite a few of the tracks that I know that keep popping up, so it's been fun.
What do you think about that oval race looming in the distance, though? That's coming up quicker than you might think.
Yeah, that's the one I've been waiting for, the Granddaddy O Mall, as they say, but I hate to see it come just because I know then the season's over and got to wait all the way through the holidays to get back into this.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you celebrate yet another Amateur Division win, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Of course, my wife, she puts up with a lot. She put up with me going to the Sim Gaming Expo, and she actually sat through the entire thing and didn't complain once. So she's always there for me. And of course the Frito Sport guys, I wouldn't be as fast as I am right now if I wasn't racing with them every week and all the different car track combos they throw at us. Like last night, I had to download 2 brand new tracks and race them in one night, so it's been pretty fun.
That'll make your brain hurt for sure. Well, congratulations. And so I have a sneaky suspicion we're going to talk again before the end of the season. So we'll let you go celebrate. Have a good night, Freddie.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
That was your Amateur Division winner, Freddie Weaver. That's it for interviews. What a race, Andre. Like, it was just up and down the order all night long. It seemed like we were watching battles the entire night. It was just nonstop excitement.
Yeah, there was no downtime. Every time the camera angle changed, it was a new battle, and it was just constant action. And this track, I know the drivers were not too keen on it. Saw a lot of, let's say, not too excited drivers when the draft pick was revealed about an hour before practice went up. And even still, I think sometimes the tracks that challenge the drivers the most, the ones that the drivers don't like, they put on the best show. You keep these guys on their toes, and they really perform.
Absolutely. My favorite tracks are when there's lots of wailing and gnashing of teeth. I know we're going to get a good show, and and Interlagos, man, it delivers every time. Another exciting race. A bit of housekeeping here. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you know every time Slow Motion Broadcasting goes live. I haven't been reminding you enough about that tonight, so make sure you do that now. One bit of new business for the American Muscle Series. This season, season 9, will be the final season under the reign of terror of me. I'll be stepping away from the league after this season, but don't worry. We found a suitable replacement, a couple of co-dictators to take over the league. Ed Sancinelli, or who I'm now calling Roger Penske, because he owns half the field and now owns the league, and Mike Neekum are going to take over responsibilities of maintaining the American Muscle Series and bringing you the same racing action. So this will be the last season for me being involved in the series for a while, but it's in good hands. Don't worry. AMS is going to live on and be just as awesome as it's always been. Here we have some upcoming broadcasts, and we have a new graphic for that. Even I'm waiting for Joshua to pull that up, and look at this awesome new graphic we have. Wednesday evening at 9:45 p.m. Eastern, SRG F3 will be taken to Barcelona. Then Saturday, September 20th, we have the Formula V's for the Weekend Warriors at Phillip Island. Then Sunday, packed with action, more from the Weekend Warriors. The Formula 4s at Oulton Park. Also, the Spec Racer Fords, also at Oulton Park. We don't ever see that alignment of stars very often in the Weekend Warriors, so that'll be an absolute show to watch all day Sunday. Then back here next Tuesday for the American Muscle Series on a track. It'll be some track at 9 p.m. and then at 9:45 p.m. SRG F4s will be taken also here on the Slow Motion Broadcast. So just look at the schedule. It's nonstop action around here. You can see racing just about any time during the week. So keep your eyes peeled for whenever Slow Motion Broadcasting goes live, and you can catch some more racing action. But that's going to do it for us tonight here in the American Muscle Series. My name is Randall McGrew. I've been joined in commentary by Andre Dirk Grandbouche. We've had Joshua Wilkie in the virtual production hauler on the buttons and knobs. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night, and we'll see you again next week.